Speaking of Labour, let's talk Labour MP Lucy Powell. Now, a lot of people are calling for her to resign as Leader of the House of Commons after she described the rape gang scandal as a dog whistle on Radio 4. Any questions? Let's take a listen.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
this.
We
want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah,
okay. There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we?
You see, she blew the trumpet, then she doubled down with the dog whistle. This is the problem. Lucy Powell has issued the following statement online. Online, of course, not in person, to us, face to face. She says, in the heat of a discussion on any questions, I would like to clarify that I regard issues of child exploitation and grooming with the utmost seriousness. I'm sorry if this was unclear. I was challenging the political point scoring around it, not the issue itself. As a constituency MP, I've dealt with horrendous cases. The government is acting to get the truth and deliver justice. Zia, Yusuf, is this an apology? Is this good enough?
Of course not. Should she resign? Yes. I mean, the whole Labour cabinet, including Keir Starmer, should resign. Look, the reality is we need to get them all voted out the next general election. Because, look, when people tell you who they are, when they show you who they are, one should believe them. What just happened there in that exchange was the mask slipping. And there are a lot of Labour MPs, a lot of Labour cabinet ministers who take the view that when somebody talks about the rape gangs, when somebody talks about the victims, that it's a dog whistle. And by the way, it is exactly the reason this exercises people so much, Nana, is because this is exactly the attitude that caused the cover-up to happen in the first place. And the evidence for what I'm saying is that they could quite easily, right now, call for a national statutory inquiry to leave no stone unturned. They're not doing it. And there's only one reason why they're not doing it, is because they share the view of Ms Powell.
Barry Gardiner.
Look, I listened to the full clip from Any Questions, and it was very clear that Tim Montgomery was desperately trying to change the subject, because if you listen to the bit just before that, where he'd been saying that so many people in local government were wrapped up in DEI, and they couldn't have time to get on with their work. They were spending all their day doing this, and she simply said, "Look, this is nonsense. This is not true." And what he did was he threw that into the discussion after the audience had reacted very badly to what he said and supported Lucy Powell, and he threw that in as a distraction. So I understand her making the response. Let's be absolutely clear, though, over the issue of rape gangs, and let's take it with the full seriousness that it deserves. 850 people a month are being arrested for child sexual grooming. Right? 850 people a month. Now, and they are not all, because very often the prefix to rape gangs or child rape gangs is Pakistani. And that, I think, is wrong. We need to understand that this is a huge problem all across society.
That may be true,
yeah,
Barry.
it is.
And I do understand that you're saying that you shouldn't focus it just on Pakistani grooming gangs, as it were. But this particular issue and this particular inquiry that they're calling for is one that focuses on...
Yeah, but because of the cover-up, Barry. Sure. And this is why it is relevant, because you're conflating two completely different issues.
No.
Nobody is claiming that every sex offender in this... every child sex offender in this country is Pakistani. Nobody is claiming that. The reason why people use that phrase and people point this out is because the reason the cover-up happened was because, exactly as Tim said, and by the way, I don't think that was
Tim didn't say that, actually.
But the reason why is because they were all obsessed with DEI. That is how, for example, you had a council worker attend the, quote, wedding of one of the monsters involved in this with an underage girl. You cannot explain that in any other way other than institutional cover-up from the council, from the police.
You can, actually. It's called complicity. It's called complicity. If people were complicit, you can explain.
Because nobody wanted to be labelled with the word racist, Barry, and that is why people point this out, and that's why the cover-up has made things infinitely worse, and why there is so much upset in this country.
The national inquiry that did take place, not into the specifics as to who was doing it, but the inquiry that went on that we had, which specifically said that where this began to be put to an end was when Keir Starmer was Director of public prosecutions, and he said he wouldn't have any more of this excusing people because of different cultures.
But Barry, there are still
of it. So you made an allegation about the whole cabinet is wrong here. That's what you said.
I said many cabinet ministers share Lucy Powell's view, which is true.
The Prime Minister and every cabinet minister. But my point to you is
I said they should resign.
The national inquiry that has been done, she found out that actually the rot began to stop when Keir Starmer insisted that these prosecutions went ahead. Now, the Tories delayed for 3 years, as you well know, didn't put into place a single one of the 20 recommendations made by that report. We began to implement them, and when we did, the Conservatives tried to block it in Parliament. They didn't manage to, but they tried to block it in Parliament, right? And now, what we're looking at is to having the local inquiries that can get to the bottom of what went on locally.
Only in certain areas. And
yes,
there are thousands of perpetrators who are still walking free. Who are still free. There are many, many people who are complicit in the cover-up who are still free, who are not going to in the catchment area of those local inquiries. And the Tories were awful. I will absolutely agree with you that this performative nonsense you're hearing from the Tories now, when they had 14 years to do anything about it and did nothing, is appalling. But Labour is in government right now, and it is appalling and inexcusable that you will not have a full statutory inquiry.
We've had a full inquiry, a full statutory inquiry, and actually we have implemented the recommendations. You're talking about a different national inquiry, which I'm perfectly happy to have, right? Let me make that plain. I would be perfectly happy to have it.
Do you think they should have one?
If I thought that would get to the bottom of who was responsible in each area. And the view is that Professor Jay was that actually having local inquiries might actually facilitate getting to who was involved.
That is there is no way that is possibly true. There are thousands of perpetrators still walking who are still free. There are many, many, probably hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who are officials.
So how would a national inquiry do that? Sorry.
Because the whole point of a local inquiry...
You're asking him a question.
The proposed local inquiries, the proposed local inquiries only have jurisdiction over a certain area, and they cannot be empowered in the way. So there was a bill that was proposed last week that would give real teeth to the inquiry, that would ensure that witnesses could be compelled under criminal sanction if they fail to do that. None of these local inquiries will be empowered in that way, Barry, and that you're never going to get somebody who should be essentially interrogated voluntarily. That's never going to happen. So, Barry, the position you're taking is indefensible, and the only reason Labour are choosing not to do it...
what my position is, you're saying it's indefensible.
The only reason Labour are not...
own position, rather than what you say...
Barry, the only reason Labour are not doing it is because of electoral calculation.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Listen, if people are listening on the radio, they won't be able to hear either of you.
Yeah, I know.
So let him finish, and then you can...
Well,
Go ahead.
Go on.
Right. My position is that we should have local inquiries, and those local inquiries should be empowered to compel people. So what you characterise as my position is completely wrong.
Right.
The reason I believe it's better to do it that way is you're more likely to get all the local knowledge from a local inquiry where people are compelled.
The problem
sorry, you're now interrupting me, Nana.
I'm hosting.
Yeah, but you wanted him to finish. You don't let me finish.
No, because I'm interrupting because I've actually got to go for a break. But what I will say to you is that I don't understand why Labour do not want to have a national inquiry. It makes no sense to me. I hear that you're sort of in support of it. Is that what you're saying?
I'm very happy to have a national inquiry as
Powell...
long as it will get to the bottom of what went on. Good. Zia said there are thousands of people. If there are thousands of people, one national inquiry is unlikely to be able to reach out into every single part of the country and do that.
How do you know that?
Because we've had a national inquiry and it didn't.
No, but it wasn't really a very thorough national inquiry, and the victims are calling for it. Even Oldham Council themselves are saying that
Oldham's got a local inquiry.
No, they're even saying that the local inquiry isn't going to be good enough. They're calling for a national inquiry as well. The victims are calling for a national inquiry. I suspect that the reason they're not doing it is because of the attitude of people like Lucy Powell, who... Do you think she should resign, Barry, yes or no?
No, I don't, no.
Zia Yusuf, yes?
Yes, along with the rest of the Labour cabinet.
All right.